And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Comic Book Roundtable. I am Travis, and we're going to get started. I'm going to introduce people in no particular order, or an order for me, but I know once it gets out on the internet, it's always in some sort of an odd order. Down on the very far end there, we've got Comics, sometimes known as Mr. CDC, AMP. How's it going?
I'll go by either. Yeah, why not?
Cool. And next to him, we got Devin Comics. How's it going, Devin?
It's going pretty good.
Awesome. And then, of course, right in the middle there, we have Jen, the comic book girl.
Hey.
And new person tonight, but certainly not new to the show as far as being in the comments and talking with us all the time, is Sergeant America. Mike, how's it going?
Very glad to be here, sir. Thank you.
We're happy to have you on. Anytime we can get a new voice to throw a wrench into it and give us a new way of thinking about something, awesome. So let's get started. What do we want to talk about first? What's the book this week that was like, this is the book I have to talk about?
Oh, wow.
Is there one?
I was super light load, so my number one is
Outcast.
Yeah.
I also got that.
Okay, guys, so tell me about it. I didn't pick it up. It's a Kirkman book, and I'm not always very excited by Kirkman, so I chose not to get it, and I'm kind of hearing that maybe I need to run to the store and pick it up. How was it?
I thought it was good. I wouldn't say amazing like a lot of people. I think it was okay. I definitely, I'm one of these people who makes comparisons while I'm reading, and I definitely, towards the end there, with the priest character and kind of the main protagonist, I'd say, got a Doc Brown, Marty McFly feeling from them a little bit. But I liked the fact that it's going in such a completely different direction. I thought this was just going to be him repackaging the feel of Walking Dead a little bit. Maybe I was being naive. But it's a neat little supernatural story that has exorcism in it. And I wouldn't say go out and buy it immediately, but I wouldn't say it stunk either.
But we're looking at like a $2.99 price point for 40 pages, right?
Yeah.
It's like 2 issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's hard to beat unless it really stinks, though. That alone.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone picked it up besides you, to be honest. So
I'm all alone.
I stopped my shop on my lunch, and like that was gone. It was like they had a ton of copies on Wednesday, and it was gone. So if you're buying this to make money later, good luck. But
You don't speculate there's just another TV show waiting to happen?
well, even if the TV show happens, everyone got a copy of this. People forget when Walking Dead came out, there were people that were interested in picking it up, but it wasn't huge right off the bat. I mean, I knew some people that picked that up, and a lot of people that said, "I'm not touching it."
Yeah.
So
well, that's one of the reasons why it's so expensive now, because the print run on it was like ridiculously low, right? It was really, really low. So.
And not that many people were interested in it at the time.
Well, Devin, Mike, what did you think of it?
There were two at my comic book shop, so I grabbed one and added it. I don't have it on my pull list yet. I didn't know it was going to be, religion is evil and this is everything that's wrong. I really didn't know what to expect with it. And it was good. Like CDC said, it was good. Not amazing. I read through it twice. I was a little confused after the first reading of it to make sure that characters weren't, this is them in the beginning, this is them now. I thought it was really nice, but then also at the end there's a little letter by Kirkman saying, this is what I wanted. I wanted spooky, but I didn't feel it was spooky, so I reread it thinking, did I miss something? And I did. I had to slow it down a little bit to really look at the faces to see what he was trying to convey. I saw what he wanted, like with the child's face, but did not feel at the end it was spooky.
Yeah.
I agree with Mike and CDC. It wasn't amazing. It didn't blow me away in any means, but I enjoyed it because I really enjoyed the character interactions. I got the kind of like priest and protagonist dude, kind of like they had a history, and all the interactions between characters felt very real, like human. So I enjoyed it for that, and it wasn't bad. I'm interested in what's going to happen, so I'm probably going to be grabbing the next issue to see how it is.
And I think Devin brought up a really great point there, that the dialogue between him and his sister, trying to ignore issues, I think he wrote that well. I mean, that was probably the most interesting part of it, is it seemed realistic.
Yeah. And he has cool blood that does magical things. I thought that was interesting.
Always a bonus.
Yes. If he bleeds on you, it's like the Green Mile a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to see if there's one. I'll go to the chain store and see if there's one. If there is one, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
They did leave enough questions that made you want to probably at least pick up the next couple issues to see, do they start filling in holes right away, like good shows do, or are they going to try and drag it out a long, long walk?
That was a feeling, though, I thought he was trying to rebel against a little bit, because I think a lot of people went into it, oh, he's just essentially writing a screenplay here for a TV show, and I got that feeling. Yeah, I got the feeling that he really kind of included some of the dialogue and some of the graphic stuff in it to say, no, that's not what I'm doing, even though we kind of all know that's exactly what he's doing. But if you don't go in it with that kind of cynicism, it's a decent comic. You're not gonna waste your money on it.
Well, and don't get me wrong, I'm not faulting Kirkman. Obviously, if somebody shows up and goes, "Hey, we want to opt your comic book," more power to him. I'm not saying that. I mean, I don't 100% fall into that camp of suspicion that everybody's just out there trying to write screenplays and they're selling to us as comics. But we do know that does happen at times, and I'm not saying that with Kirkman. I mean, I would assume that somebody potentially is going to opt it because of how successful The Walking Dead has been. That gives him a foot in the door, and like more power to him that the comic book people can, actually make some money someplace. But yeah. Okay, well, let's talk independent books since now we're on independent books. That's the lion's share of what my poll was this week was indie books. Anybody pick up Saga? I am by myself. Oh, no.
Me?
Did you read it?
Yes.
So what'd you think?
I enjoyed it. It felt like typical Saga,
Right. Well, I don't know. This was weird. There were a few moments in it that were kind of shocking. That was like, wow. I mean, of course, the opening page was not shocking to me because the opening page is no longer shocking. It just never is anymore.
Right.
Even though that is obviously, that's obviously a gag. You open up the first page, it's going to be something. We won't open it now, because otherwise I'd have to put warnings on my show for graphic content. There's a girl with a beaver tail. I'll say that though.
Jeez.
Yes, but of course, there's a shocking moment with the Princess 4. I don't know what she's called. Is she called Princess 4? That was pretty shocking. I was not expecting that at all. But I don't know. This issue didn't feel like it really hit the sweet spot that it normally does for me.
It wasn't like amazing. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like in almost every issue there's some great little piece of dialogue that just makes you go, oh, I feel so good about this book. This is one of those, whether it's an argument or it's a feel-good moment between Lion Cat and somebody, there's always something that makes me go, this is why I love this book. And in this one, it was still enjoyable, the art's still great, but it didn't have one of those moments. It almost always does.
Yeah. I have read Saga. I'm not up on it, but I would say that's the strong point of that comic is the dialogue, and I think it's got some of the best dialogue in comics.
Yeah.
I liked Hazel at the dance studio. It was kind of cute. When she called that woman ugly. Right.
Typical kid, right? I mean, that's, kids are going to point out things that look weird or whatever, so... I don't know. And of course, last issue they hinted at the fact that there's going to be a breakup in the family. What does that really mean? Does that really mean that this guy, that Marco's going to fall for the dance instructor, or does it mean something else?
Yeah, I don't know.
The little bit of Alana taking the drugs is pretty interesting too. Obviously, whatever she took's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just weird for me. That was, I don't know. It's like, I don't know.
Or was it just an opportunity to show more naked people?
I just felt like it was an opportunity to do something weird. You know what I mean? Oh, let's have her tripping. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed pointless to me.
But I guess that's my thing with this issue is there wasn't those critical other than what happened with the princess. There weren't those critical moments, and I didn't feel to be like so.
Yeah.
For somebody who picks it up in trade.
Go ahead, Mike.
For somebody who picks it up in trade, like I have the first trade, I don't have the second one. After hearing your guys' show, I think you get a lot more out of each issue if you get them right away. If you get it later on, a lot of the shock value is gone. A lot of the suspense from month to month kind of takes away from it. So I really think being current with it is probably the stronger way of doing this.
Yeah. And I can see that because they really do write each issue to have that shock at the beginning of the page and ends on some sort of a cliffhanger of some sort that makes you wondering what's going to happen for next month. As opposed to some books which feel like you only get one of those every 5 or 6 issues. So, yeah, I can see that. Definitely. What other indie books do people pick up and want to talk about?
Deadly Class?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah.
The majority of that issue takes place in an alleyway.
Right.
It's just...
with everybody bleeding and our main character getting curb stomped repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I changed my mind about it. First I was like, oh, what is this? And I started to like it more and more. I'm like, they're really just going to go through with this and just have it be this. And it somehow won me over a little bit. I was surprised. It's if you're not reading Deadly Class, it's definitely something to check out.
I was really excited at the end of last issue with the whole, oh my god, what the hell is going to happen? Is there, seemingly dead laying in the middle of the convenience store and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was, I liked it, and I guess it makes you feel like it sets up what the story is going to be about now. Because our big evil guy shows up, basically rescues them, right? In some sense, and says, you better get this guy all trained up because I'm coming back later on to kick his ass. Isn't that kind of what we get the impression of?
Yeah.
So, and I like the very end of it with Car Ride, where he's riding along and he's basically in his head, I had this one great moment and this is how I feel now, and this is still that totally effed up moment that I'm going to be stuck in now, probably forever, kind of a thing. I guess in a 80s depressing kind of a way, I that kind of does fall into that whole, Brat Pack kind of movie-esque kind of a feel to it. Just
admit it, the Smiths were playing while you were reading that.
Oh, it definitely was. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. My dead girlfriend in a coma, and it was. I'm enjoying it. I like the art. I love the panel layout, the shots that they choose to use. Like at the very beginning of the convenience store where it's all above. The whole shot is above and stuff. I like some of those choices and stuff. It's an entertaining comic. Of course, now we've got a 2 or 3 month layoff before the book comes back again. It doesn't come back until September or something like that. So a pretty hefty jump.
That's one of the pitfalls of indies, I would say, is they do take breaks like that. But quality product, so.
Right. As I say, I think that keeps all the creators on the book doing what they need to do and stuff, instead of a double-shift book where we got inconsistent art and aren't sure what's going on, right? So, or a quadruple-shift book. We'll get to that. Anybody read Trees?
No.
No.
I'm the only person that picked up Trees. Really digging it. I love this cover. This issue, as opposed to the first issue, kind of bounced all over the world and gave us lots of different stuff. This issue is just solely in the Antarctic. There's these black poppies that are growing on the sides of these columns of these alien trees that showed up. I won't go into great detail on it because no one else reads it, but I'm really enjoying it. It feels like Warren Ellis has got something to say with this, and I was kind of excited to see if, because of his long break from comics, if he'd have something to say. And I'm digging it. The art's cool. It's got kind of a Fabio Moon, Gabriel Bra look to it with the colors and stuff. Pretty good book.
Yeah. Not that I've read yet.
I know it's technically last week, but Drumheller.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's reading that, but it's been a very interesting detective that can only do his work when he's loaded on drugs. And his area is South Dakota, where I'm from, so that's what got me started on it. And it's just a whole bunch of very interesting, independent art that is beautiful. Definitely psychedelic, not my normal thing. I probably wouldn't keep picking it up if I wasn't from South Dakota, if I wasn't trying to see if this is going to even touch on my side of the state. It's that vast, difference on west side, east side kind of thing.
Right.
But I mean, it's all about werewolf love, drugs, hunting, ghost dinosaurs, and solving just weird crimes.
And what issue is it on?
6. It just came back from one of the big 3-4 month breaks.
Oh, okay.
I always wonder about that, where you have a comic that takes place somewhere near you, and do you find the inconsistencies where you're like, that's not how that goes, or do you think that they, did you notice anything like that kind of you wouldn't, if you weren't from there, you wouldn't notice?
No, because even with it, I mean, it's like I said, the state is divided by a river. It's with us, it's the east side, west side of the east side has got colleges, the west side's got cowboys. So it's really tough for me to judge.
So it's Canada, in other words.
Yeah, it's basically and now they're heading towards Wyoming. So I mean, even now they're not even going to be in South Dakota. But it was just it was just an interesting take on all of it. So
Sure. That's a book I've always been curious about, but I just didn't think. I guess I was curious about it, but not enough, I guess, because I didn't think the creators would last on the book and it would fold before it made it to issue 6, I guess. So.
Yeah, it did come out in trade. That's what interested me. I was a little surprised by that. I didn't think it had the sales, but I know you've discussed what independents need for sales.
Considerably less than what, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, like I said, if it wasn't my state, if it was Montana, I probably wouldn't be reading it. It's definitely out there.
Revival? Anybody read Revival? Jen, did you get Revival and get to it?
I read half of it.
Okay. I won't talk a lot about it then. Interesting, a large chunk of the issue has to do with the fact that, of course, Dana is in New York. She's been hired by the FBI because some of the Revival bits and whatnot have escaped quarantine, and they think that they've got some Revival people in New York, and we find out some stuff about that kind of a deal. I think is the biggest part of it. I'm still really enjoying the book. It's I mean, if it hasn't changed a lot. I mean, it hits all the same beats that it always hits. If you're interested in that, you're interested in. If you're not, you're not, I guess. I still really like it. To me, it's just a kind of a complex story with lots of little weird things going on. Cal, I picked up Cal also, issue number 2.
That.
Yeah.
How is that?
Go ahead, Jen.
I'm really enjoying it, actually, but I have some problems with the art sometimes. I mean, the art's good, but sometimes I get confused about who it is in the picture. So I've had to read it a few times to try to figure out, okay, who is this guy? But I like the story. It's kind of slow, though, like world building. And there are a lot of unanswered questions. So I
And
don't know. I like it though. I'm gonna
Not-
stick with it for a while.
not in the drawing you incense type of questions, or more or less, why didn't they cover that kind of questions?
No, I think it's just like things are going to expand upon later. But it
Okay.
doesn't. That's my only problem with this book is it doesn't have a lot of hooks. I don't think. What do you think, Travis?
Right. That's probably the biggest thing. There's no gripping thing that just makes you go, oh my gosh, I have to know what's next. I really like it too. I like the art. I agree with you, Jen. There's times where, because we're not used to the artist yet, and the way he renders some people, that when they get in dark shadows or whatnot, you're not 100% sure. That we're still talking about the same people when we come back to them, back and forth between different parts on the plots in it. I mean, I'm generally interested in it. I'm interested in this whole potential contract struggle as Cal, they're a unionized superhero group trying to keep their contract going into the future in Chicago. We've got some implications that maybe somebody's been feeding stuff to the bad guys to keep the bad guys armed. So there's a reason to have them here. That's been kind of floated around as being a potential mystery as to what's going on, and we've started to explore a few characters, actually their personality, what their role is in Cal. One of those people may be dead already, so it's interesting. I like the artwork. It really reminds me of Bill Siekowitz's kind of painted and inked stuff that he used to do back in the late 80s. So I enjoy that. I like that. But you're right. It doesn't have any, if you're not interested in the whole kind of unionized political end of it, beyond that, there's not any. There are no hooks right now. There's nothing that makes you go, oh my gosh.
And I like the dialogue between people, but still, I don't feel like I really know anybody very well. You know? So, and there are a lot of characters.
Yeah, and we haven't spent any quality time with any of them really. We get little bits and pieces. Like we get one guy who basically has to deal. He's in Cal, but he's just a good shot with a pistol. He doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't have a uniform. He doesn't have a superhero name. And his 13-year-old son absolutely hates him. He thinks his dad's an embarrassment because he doesn't have a superhero name. He's just a dude with a gun, and he's kind of embarrassed by his dad. So there's a little bit of dialogue as he drops his kid off, who's been playing hooky, dropping his kid off at school, and the kid's giving him a rash of shit because, like kids are at that age, just unhappy with the world anyway, is taking it out on dad. So you get a little bit of character there. We get another character that kind of deals with his wife, and his wife seemingly doesn't want him to be a superhero anymore, kind of like, why don't you just give this up and go on and do something else in your life? Maybe it's time to quit this, because he's struggling with the whole, he has some information that might screw up their contract, and he's struggling with what is he supposed to do with that information. So there
I
are
also
some
really
interesting
like
points, but
the setting. I mean, like the era, the Chicago mob times and stuff like that.
It's
kind
mid
of
1960s. It's mid
Right,
1960s. Right.
that's kind of fun. It's kind of an era that's fun to look at. So.
Yeah. Letter 44.
I haven't read it.
I haven't read it yet either.
It's a different artist. It's Jolene Jones is doing the artwork on it. She did Helheim. That's what most people are familiar with. This is kind of a background. It gives us a background on a couple of the characters who get hired to go out into space. I mean, from what I read, it's not anything that you would need to know what's going on in the story, but it was interesting, and it's nice. I don't know. The characters almost aren't recognizable because they're drawn much better than they are in the regular book. I like the story. I always struggle with the art on Letter 44. Had an interesting conversation with Charles Soule last weekend, talking with him about Letter 44. He was really excited. He's got it mapped out for quite some ways. He's getting ready to take another trip to, I think it was Cape Canaveral. He was going to the Kennedy Space Center and was going to be talking some more space type stuff. And he's got a lot more president-oriented stuff getting ready to hit the fan in the story too.
That guy is crazy. He
Yeah.
practices law during the day,
Right.
and writes at night. The guy, I don't know how he does it.
And he writes like 10 books or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, he's a machine.
Yeah.
He's crazy. Any books you want to talk about? You want to talk about Conan?
I'm probably the only person who gets it, but I have Conan the Avenger. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it, just because no one else gets it. But the current story is he's just roaming around in Shambhala, I think it's called, just drinking because of previous things that happened to him. And he ends up getting accused of being a witch by this witch hunter. And they fight, and they end up having to ally themselves with the actual witch who was doing stuff. Sends like zombies at him, like revived people. It's weird, but it's very action-oriented currently. There is a side story going on, but for the most part, it's when it comes to the Conan-related things, because he's not always immediately in the center of the book. He's off doing whatever. But when it comes to Conan, he's always action-oriented, doing whatever. The backstory, stuff behind the scenes is the witch or sorcerer or whatever he wants to call himself is trying to take over the kingdom/area. He's trying to take it over through weird means of zombies and weird demons, and it's odd, but it's a very fun read. It's fun. It's a fun read, and it's lots of action, and I like that.
It's a Conan book.
Yeah, it's Conan.
Sweet. Right on. Any other indie books we'll talk about? Manifest Destiny. Tell me about Manifest Destiny. I dropped it at around, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Yeah, and I know that was it part of the issue was about like how they were tying it in with the American Indians.
Well, it was that. It was the kind of. I mean, I get it's the era and whatnot as far as how guys treated women and whatnot, but I got tired of. They weren't killing that one convict fast enough that continued to say the fairly gross and racial stuff. So
Then good thing you dropped it because it's still along those lines.
yeah.
They're on the boat and they're continuing to sail up the Mississippi, but they're once again encountering new monsters. But there's flashbacks to Lewis and Clark, what they did to the Native Americans, and there is still the prisoners because they have now the people they saved from the fort on their boat. So it does have a lot of women and that, and so that seems to be part of the issue. So it is still on par from what you dropped it from.
Yeah. And I guess for me, I didn't see the point in that. I mean, I can see the point in that if they're going to give us a reason to despise that character and then whack him off so we can all get the satisfaction of him being killed or whatever. I get that, but just to continue to, I don't know how that tells me part of a story that I'm enjoying, because I don't particularly enjoy that. Like I said, I understand it's the era and whatnot, but I don't think everybody was despicable in the era. But so I don't know. I like the art. I like the art in the book, and
Yeah.
I like the idea of the book, but I didn't like that part of the execution, so that's why I chose not to get it.
All right.
Yeah. Any other indie books we want to talk about? Let's
I didn't
move on.
read anymore.
Yeah, I've got a couple more. I still have Stray Bullets and Massive. I haven't read either one of those yet, so, but I don't know anybody else who reads those either. So, let's move on to Marvel, because my Marvel's huge this week. I got
Mine
the one
is
Marvel.
too.
Yeah, I got the one Marvel book. I'm assuming most other people picked up probably. Go Miss Marvel, right?
Yeah.
What do we think of Miss Marvel? We're on issue 5 now.
I love this
End
book.
of the story arc, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's got one more issue.
Does
It's
it?
Part 4 of 5, yeah. Even
Oh,
though it's
okay.
on issue 5, it is considered part 4 of 5.
Oh, it says that part 4 or 5. You are right. I'll be darned.
Mhm.
So what do we think of it?
That was
love
good.
it.
It's great. I love this book.
I like the interaction she had with her dad showing that there was a strong relationship there when he was disciplining her, but not really. He was telling her why he was doing what he was doing and why she shouldn't do. Why he feels she shouldn't go down some of the roads he thinks she's going down.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked that interaction between them. I thought that was very characterizing.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
Definitely, that was a great part because it did make him just a stereotypical dad, not listening and just putting the hammer down on her, because that's kind of what he's done up to this point. But now it's there's more to it than that, and so that definitely made it cool. She's just a cool character. I mean, Camilla is an awesome character, I think, and well written. Enough of an interesting story there. I almost don't care about the greater plot of other than who the hell is the inventor? I mean, the guy Edison. Yeah. He's like a giant freaking parrot, right?
Yeah, I was just like, what?
I mean, after that kind of surprised me. I was like, what the hell? But so that's amusing. But I almost don't care so much about that, the superhero plot part that's going on. Just her figuring out her crap and what I can do and what I can't do. It was, we did this, a cute little montage with her friend, stretching her legs out to see if she runs faster, and him being the brainy person saying, well, technically you weren't running faster, but because your legs are, that stuff was fun. That really made it enjoyable. G. Willow Wilson is doing an awesome job of making her a relatable person. Not that you need to be a teenage girl to relate to her, but she just is a relatable person, Yeah. And then that's probably the magic of the book, right? At least it is for me. That's what makes the book great, is how relatable she is.
And the art and the colorist, it's awesome. They do a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's only $2.99. One of those rare Marvel books that hasn't changed price. I'm kind of surprised too, because it seems fairly popular. It seems like most everybody is picking up, it seems, or has attempted to pick it up or whatever, and I'm shocked they haven't cranked the price up on it yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's doing well. I don't want to get it canceled. I'm still better about Defenders.
Yeah.
Well, but Daredevil didn't get canceled.
Yeah.
Of course, so far Ms. Marvel hasn't won Eisner's yet. Maybe that's the litmus test, right?
Yeah.
If it gets Eisner nominated, then they can crank up the price on it.
Yeah.
Jumped up to $4.99.
Oh God. I'd probably get it still too.
I probably would too.
We're our own worst enemy.
Oh, we are, definitely. There's no doubt about it. The collector in all of us is we set ourselves up for a lot of this stuff. So, any other Marvel books? Because that's the only Marvel book I picked up this week. Avengers Undercover.
How is that? I actually heard that's decent.
Who's writing that one?
It's Hopeless.
Okay.
So it is the continuation from Avengers Arena. He does use people from the Runaways, from the Marvel Academy, or Avengers Academy, and then even Young Avengers when they encountered the Young Masters of Evil. So I was really surprised. I mean, he's got a little bit of all that in here. They go after one friend to try and save him because he's in the evil city that's run by Helmet. Or trying to think, the old Captain America villain that wears the purple sock over his head.
Zemo?
No idea.
Zemo, sorry, yes, Zemo. Yeah. What isn't that isn't it a purple sock or whatever, or stocking cap?
Mask.
So they go to rescue one friend, and they realize that only way they can look good is by destroying all the bad guys in this place. They have to infiltrate, act evil, and then they're gonna go good. But some of them like evil, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they tackle all this. And it does play, if you like your X-Men, because of the soap opera between Kitty Pryde and Colossus, and it's got that aspect to it, a lot of soap opera love, a lot of characters that they dig back into their past and careers. It's good. I mean, they're exploring each person. And they can do that. Go off on a tangent, explore for one issue, and then go back to the main storyline.
Cool.
And once again, $2.99. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It only ships once a month, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I picked up 2 other Marvel, but there's only one I really feel like talking about.
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man. I read a bit of Superior because my roommate, he picks it up, but I really get the feeling like you had to somewhat read it to comprehend what's going on right now. He runs into Black Cat in this issue, and she's mad at him for things that Doc Ock did while he was in the body, and like, I was a bit lost, I'll say. And I'm trying to stick with it because I want to get back into Spider-Man, but I was a bit lost. I also read Guardians of the Galaxy, but no one's reading that but me. So moving on.
I'm just waiting for the movie.
Yeah.
It's all about the raccoon in the tree anyway. So right.
Which is not the case in the comic, which is weird.
All right. So Devin, you read Spider-Man also, right?
Yeah.
Did you read Superior Spider-Man when it was out? Remind me.
I did. I didn't collect it. I read my friend's copies.
Okay.
But I liked this issue because I did have that frame of reference for why Black Cat was pissed, and but one of the parts I thought was kind of funny was Black Cat's like constantly just beating on Spider-Man and is like tearing him down from anything he tries to say. He's trying to explain that it wasn't him and all that, and so then instead, because that's not getting through to her, he decides to act like Doc Ock. And he's all like using big words and yelling and acting evil, and I just thought it was ridiculous. And
somehow
just, like,
that scares her off.
Yeah, she ran away because she didn't know if it was Peter or if it was Ock at this point, and she's just like, what? And just leaves. It was great. I thought that was hilarious. I actually laughed.
Yeah. At first I was like, oh wow, are they really swerving us like that? It was really Doc Ock all the time just pretending. I was like, wow. And then okay, I get it. I'm kind of rusty on Spider-Man a little bit, and that's kind of the problem. I forget his sense of humor and all that. Yeah. I'm getting back into it. Yeah.
Well, if we're going to talk about comics nobody reads, I got another $2.99 Thunderbolts.
I didn't even know that came out.
Yeah, technically it was last week. It's the Punisher versus Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts, the last 3 issues, I think, are all about killing everybody on the issue and on the team, and then they show some Deus Ex Machina solution to it, that it was all mental, It was all magic, it was all whatever, and so they're all back each time. They defeat the bad guy, and in this one, at the end, Ross, Red Hulk, is going to take the bad guy they beat and put him into the group, just like the Thunderbolts used to be, all bad guys, and redemption. And Punisher says, no, we're going to shoot him. And he goes, well, it's us or it's your decision. And Punisher walks away, and with that, that's where you're left with, now it's Punisher versus the Thunderbolts. So, and this is with Acker as the writer now, since Soul came off, yeah.
Yeah, I dropped it when Soul left. But sounds like it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I like it, but then again, I'm a sucker for a little bit of punishment, so... It's Ben Acker and Ben Blacker, both of them, with Carlo Barberi as the artist, and I like the art, so... I'll continue to get it. I know I had friends that threw all theirs into a kettle of beer to show how mad they were. But
I didn't make it past issue 2. That was too painful for me back then when it first started. So yeah, that's a whole different thing though. So
when that was going on, I was trying to, in every one of my videos, not say anything negative, and that broke the streak real quick. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So. Any other Marvel books you want to talk about? Any Marvel news? What's going on in Marvel right now? I see that solicitations show that 2 of the Avenger books are going to jump 8 months into the future or something like that.
I always wonder why they do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
And,
see
and,
what five-
and rumors have started back up again that they're going to cancel the Ultimate Universe. You know, rumors were it was going away after Cataclysm, but then they relaunched it. But now it sounds like a lot of those books are disappearing anyway.
I was picking up the all-new Ultimates, but this last episode or issue was all about all the girls out on the beach and then Miles dating. So that was the end of it.
You don't like a good beach issue? Is that what you're saying?
It reminds me of the X-Men issues where Kitty Pryde is left alone in the mansion and what she does with Lockheed. So no, I'm done.
I remember those issues.
You don't remember that? And Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern break in, and she has traps set up for him. And
Oh yes. Yeah, you know, I haven't really heard anything Marvel-wise that's like earth-shattering news-wise.
You've probably covered this other weeks, but what do you think of the $4.99 monthlies?
Oh, haven't talked about that. Just talked about that on Twitter. Haven't really thrown a fit anywhere on a video about it.
I didn't hear anything about this.
There's 16 issues coming out in September. 15. I'm sorry, 15 issues that come out in September that are $4.99. And
all tie-ins.
A couple of them, to be fair, to cut out a couple of them are annuals, which typically are that. But it seems like they are making some issues. The permanent price is going to be $4.99 from here on out. And I think Travis and I talked about how that's them testing it, and it will succeed. By the way, they'll be rewarded for that, and they'll probably move it on to other books.
But there are more pages, right? Are there more pages in all of the books?
On some of them, it's going to be 40.
See, that's okay. I mean, I don't have a. I mean, I know that's definitely more expensive. But if I'm getting twice the product that I was getting before, I don't, you know, I don't have a problem with that higher price point. I mean, granted, it then makes me start to go, okay, what am I gonna buy or not buy? Well, I am curious though, is if it's that many more pages, what does the product look like? Because
what's the quality?
It seems like right now the modern comic book artist, you know, 20 to 22 pages is pushing it. It seems to be in a month for them to get their work out. So if it's going to be twice that and it's going to be consistently, you know, 35 to 40 pages, how are they doing that? Or am I going to go book with multiple artists through it? So I'm looking at one page, and then I look at the next page, and the guy changes, and that kind of bums me out. That takes me out of the story. I hate to say it. I don't mean to complain about it, but it, you know, so I wonder, you know, what does that ultimately end up doing if it's going to be that much? Because there's nobody. I'm trying to remember which Marvel artist I saw on. I'm pretty sure it was a Marvel artist. I saw on Twitter, and they tweeted double shipping the bane of the modern comic artist. Because obviously you can. I mean, if the book comes out twice a month, you're only going to do one of the books, you know. Yeah. And I don't know. How do you have a consistent book if it's put out by so many different people and stuff?
Yeah.
But that price point, that's going to be interesting, huh? I mean, that's a whole $1 more and $2 more than some books are.
If I was green to the comic book industry, I'd be throwing a fit. But I know everyone that's throwing a fit is going to secretly be picking up those comics, so I'm not going to be surprised that those do just fine.
Right. You know,
I guess I'm just Midwest cheap because, like CDC said, when the Defenders jumped, I jumped from it. So.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for me, the price point makes me think twice about how much am I really enjoying the book.
Exactly.
If I'm really enjoying it, you know, like I said, I'm getting more pages, so it's not like technically I'm getting a better deal. I'm paying more for that book, but if I'm getting more pages, the pages actually are less per page at that $1 more than when it was $3.99. So it's a better deal, but it does start to bite into how many books can I realistically get if they're going to start being that price. I haven't actually looked, I don't think it affects me at all because most of the books that I'm getting are kind of the weird fringe books of Marvel, and so, you know, it is whatever it is. But of course, a month or so ago, half of Image books jumped from $2.99 to $3.50. And I don't know how many people noticed that. I mean, Deadly Class jumped. Saga hasn't jumped, but like Lazarus jumped. A lot of them jumped to that $3.50 price point. That didn't stop me from buying any of the books I was buying before. I mean, I went, oh, hey, they changed the price, but I mean, I'm still getting the books I like. So, but yeah, I don't think. I mean, short of them suddenly putting a $10 price tag on a comic book, it isn't going to chase people away. There'll be a few people who quit getting it based on the price, but there'll be plenty of more that won't because they have to have it. They have to have it for their collection. You got to have all the Wolverine because I mean, you can't have a comic book collection without all the Wolverine. And there's going to be 4 Wolverine books that are $5 probably out of that 16. So.
And it's going to be worth something one day.
Oh, I feel sorry for anybody who buys comics based on that.
Yeah, if you do, you're going to be sorely disappointed one day. Unless
not to say that there isn't a market for buying something and turning it around fairly quickly or whatever, or if you did happen to buy 2 or 3 of those first sagas, unloading one or whatever. I was just at a con this last weekend. I was blown away by how the prices people were selling modern comics within the last 2 years. The price tags they were selling them for blew my mind because this is all stuff with the exception of the first printing of Saga and some of those other things. I would assume that you guys that live in bigger places where there are actually comic book stores would be able to find in the dollar bins, but they were being sold for more than cover price, almost twice cover price or more, and I don't know. So I don't know. There's the market's there in some sense, but yeah. Please don't buy the death of Superman thinking you're going to get something out of it. That's all
Oh, I just think of how many copies my friend bought of that.
I know. It's one of the worst. It's one of the worst of that whole thing. So, anything else you want to talk about?
I was just thinking with Arrow coming out October 8th, I saw that they mentioned also The Flash is coming out October 7th. The only reason I mentioned it with Marvel is the Tuesday is when S.H.I.E.L.D. is out. And that is going to go opposite against S.H.I.E.L.D. So they're going head-to-head.
The Flash is?
Yeah, The Flash will be going head-to-head with
S.H.I.E.L.D. I think S.H.I.E.L.D.'s in trouble.
Yes.
Have you? Well, I shouldn't admit to this, but has anyone else seen the pilot yet?
No,
because I don't break the law.
Yeah, bad boy.
I have a friend's cousin once removed that saw it, and it was pretty good. It was really good.
Now, I've seen large bits and chunks of it because when I was standing in line at the con, they actually were running licensed, long ads for the thing and whatnot. It looked entertaining. I'm not a big Flash fan, to tell you the truth, but I'll certainly watch it to start out with just to see what it's going to be like and stuff. Yeah. But I think S.H.I.E.L.D.'s in trouble. Quite honestly, Flash is a fairly popular character. He's actually a superhero doing super-powered things versus a bunch of guys riding around in a big giant airplane.
Talking about stuff other people are doing that aren't on camera.
Right. Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
So I think that and my understanding is that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gotten better from when it first started out. I'm not watching it, but I think it's. I mean, unless the Flash ends up being really stinky, I just think it'll kick S.H.I.E.L.D.'s butt just because it has an actual superhero in it.
Yeah, I am watching S.H.I.E.L.D. and it did get better and better, and I was really happy with it. I liked it a lot at the end, even though it destroyed a lot of what the comic book continuity was doing with S.H.I.E.L.D. So,
yeah. You have to expect that, though.
Yeah, and I was fine. So that was the only thing that miffed. So.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting how that all works out, and I don't know how soon the Netflix Marvel shows are coming out. With Daredevil and stuff like that they've got lined up.
I forgot about that.
How all that stuff competes will be really interesting.
It must be going pretty close because I know they mentioned Rosario Dawson being on Daredevil. So the more and more they talk about it, I mean, I'm going to pick up Netflix when I know that's getting kicked out. So.
Does anyone know if it's going to follow the Netflix format of just releasing the whole season all at once, or is it going to be episodes every little while?
It'll probably be all at once, knowing them.
Yeah.
Please.
Huh. That'll be cool. I guess I've not watched anything that's been a Netflix release while it's being released or when it's released. I always end up watching it the next year or whatever, I guess. So
Yeah. That like me
But-
with Arrow.
yeah.
It's so funny because all the Twitter comments from months past are making sense now, and it's making me mad.
But yeah, so it'll be all gonna be interesting. I mean, I think that's great. I think it's great for the comic book world as long as it doesn't affect our comic books too much.
Yeah.
You know, but that'll be interesting. Interesting to see what happens, how that all plays out for sure. So DC books. What do we want to talk about for DC?
I haven't talked with anyone yet, really, since I came back about these weekly books, and I'd be more than happy to get into that.
Let's talk Batman Eternal, which is one of the books. Of course, I keep talking about the fact this book gets released 4 times a week. I mean, 4 times a month, right? So you obviously aren't going to have the same artist on multiple books. So we're getting this, and I think it's been commented in a lot of people's videos, like Ghost Critics, and I think Sleepy Reader also. A lot of people have commented the fact that like one of the main characters in this book is this new Detective Bard, and he looks different. He looks like a completely different person in every single issue. So like, we have to wait for his name to be said to know for sure, oh, that really is or he's staying next to Bullock because like Bullock, wears the hat and the trench coat, and he's fat. So you get enough of Bullock being this heavyset guy that they can't screw Bullock up too bad. And so if he's standing next to Bullock wearing glasses, he must be the new guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe that's me nitpicking, but it's just kind of funny how that is, I would be interested to see this book if it was all done by one person. Of course, that's not possible, but beyond that, what do we think of the book? What do we think of this issue? What do we think of it, this weekly? We're 3 months in, right?
Someone else go first because I'm going to say some things.
Okay. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with the book. It's entertaining. I kind of like the weekly format, as bad as that might sound. It's kind of exciting. I can read it, I can ponder the things that are in it and go, ooh, wow, I wonder what's going to happen, and then bang, next week I've got the next one right there to answer it. It's not depthy enough for me to spend a month going, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. But it's still, it just kind of flirts with a lot of stuff. Of course, I wasn't around last week. Everybody hated the artist in that last week.
I did. I was like the only person who didn't.
I actually loved it too. I thought it was bizarre. I know the buggy.
I could see it.
No.
I could see it working so much better on an
It
indie
didn't
book.
fit the book at all.
Yeah, I agree. It was weird for the book, but I still enjoyed it. That was fun.
I can't wait for the people to pick up Trade. And they just going through. What?
Well, because that is really consistent. Yeah.
It's starkly different.
Yeah. I can tell when different writers are on this book without looking to see who's on it.
This was a fourth.
This is a 4th book. You could tell there was Tinian. They have hallmark things about what they're doing. Some of it's because it's the characters they're using, and but it's not just that. It's just the way
It's written.
the story goes to the thing. This issue in particular, I didn't really care a whole lot for because, of course, that's because it's got Tim Drake in it, and I loathe that character.
Really?
I hate how smart he is. I hate how he's this better detective than anybody else. Blah blah blah. It thrilled me to death that Harper hacked his computer system because I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, somebody else talk because, like I said, it had enough Tim Drake in it to make me want to hit my head on the desk.
Well, okay, so since it was the 4th on this one, I noticed, and I'm not saying they pay attention to us in any way, shape, or form, but I noticed that it was almost like he was penned in on this one. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't take the story anywhere. The ending, of course, is a surprise, but it was almost like they kept him on, like, a railing or something throughout this. Like, he didn't do any real damage, if you will.
Right.
Which
Right.
kind of hurt the issue a little bit because not a whole lot really happened that moved the plot forward
Yeah.
outside of the ending, which,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
we could write that, and stick that landing. But
Right. The ending, and basically the ending and establishing that Harper's as good as she is by hacking into Super Tim Drake's computer. Right. I know. I'm not gonna let it go.
You just hate Tim Drake.
I do with a passion.
I don't care for him much either, but you're on a different level.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because you're old school. Then more new school people hate Tim Drake and like Jason, where more old school people hate Jason and like Tim. So it's just fascinating to see.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm not a big Robin fan in general, except for Damian. Damian has won me over. I was never a big fan of Jason Todd. I like him just fine as Red Hood. And I always thought that Dick Grayson was kind of obnoxious. So, yeah, I'm just not a Robin fan. What can I say? I'm sorry.
Well, there's a couple Robins you're missing, you sexist. No,
I know.
Just saying.
I know.
So does anyone else?
I like her better as Spoiler, so.
I like her, period.
Or Batgirl.
Whatever she's doing. But does anyone else reading Future's End?
I'm not.
I am, but I didn't read the newest issue yet.
Well, just from what you have read, don't you think it's somewhat better constructed than Batman Eternal? And the
I'm
way
enjoying it more than Batman Eternal.
Me too.
I've heard that opinion a lot.
Well, the way that it's blocked out, it doesn't feel like it. Like Batman Eternal feels like it bleeds together a bit too much. Where this is very segmented, and you can tell almost that a writer is assigned to the certain segment that it's going to, and the parts you don't like, you can almost skim through quickly and get to the parts you do, and you can't do that with Eternal at all. I'm even starting to come around a little bit on Cash as a character, even though I hated him at the beginning of this. I thought he was just boring and almost trying to be Rorschach light a little bit in this. And he's kind of become more or less just a background character in a bigger story in his segment. I would say probably, I don't know, what would you say is the most interesting story in this, Jen? Out of all the stories. I wouldn't recommend it to you, Travis, because Tim Drake's in this one too. But
in this issue, or is he just all over the book?
He's a character. I'll put it that way.
Wow, between him and Grifter, that would be pretty rough.
But Frankenstein's a big character in it.
Yeah, I know
I like the Frankenstein part a lot.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite
And
part.
Amethyst,
actually.
and yeah, I think that's probably my favorite part.
It's like you're getting that back, and I kind of think that's you know where the book shines a bit. It's not really enveloped in the mystery that's supposed to be unfolding, but it's more interesting just to have a Frankenstein book almost back. It's pretty much what it is, essentially. I mean, he's with Shade again. He's he's going out on.
Who's writing the Frankenstein parts? Do you know?
I think it's. Is it Lemire? It feels like his vibe to it. You know, because when Kent took over, it kind of felt like a different book, a better book,
right?
In my opinion, but it feels like that vibe again. And some of his because it's far in the future, some of his teammates are on different teams, and he feels compelled to. I don't want to spoil it because I really want people to check it out, actually. But
I fully intend on picking it up in trade, but I made the decision early on that that's what I was going to do. I'm not picking it up in singles.
It's weird going in. I thought it was going to be a Batman Beyond heavy book, and he's not really in it that much.
He's got a small part, but even his parts aren't that bad.
No, but
I don't mind it.
I'm not going to spoil it, but I mean you can kind of allude to it. But there's obviously been this conflict between Earth 1 and Earth 2 that they're hinting at. It's really well done compared to Batman Eternal. I'd almost want people that are working on Batman Eternal to look at that as a blueprint of how to write a story with multiple writers.
See, I think part of that has to do with the fact is the team that's on Future's End has written those types of books before. The guys that are on a Batman Eternal, this is, for all of them, this is a new gig. This is not something they've done where they're that heavily into each other's stuff trying to write the thing. Where the guys that are on that other book are guys that have done 52. They've done those style of books in the past, or some of them have. I know Rizzo has, Giffen has. Those people have all written that type of stuff. I think they've got a bigger breadth of experience of trying to put that all together and make a greater thing out of it.
Scott Costin Bromstar in the comments said he liked the Flash TV show from the 90s. I just thought I would share that.
Yeah. That was such a scary show. Oh.
Mark Hamill, come on. Luke Skywalker was the trickster.
Sure.
Yeah, so I like Future's End a little bit better, even quite a bit better. I want to know why Superman's the way he is, too. When you read this issue, I'll talk to you on Twitter about it, Jen. But
Okay.
yeah, I think it's better done.
What other DC books do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Batman?
We can do that.
Justice League.
Well, let's do
Oh.
Justice League first.
I'm liking Justice League. You guys can hate me if you want. I'm liking it.
What are you liking about it?
Luther. I'm hoping.
So you're thrilled to death that he knows Batman is Bruce Wayne.
I want to see where this is going, and I haven't been able to say that with Justice League ever in the New 52.
For 31 issues, you haven't been able to say that, right?
No, I mean, let's be honest. I'm hoping they don't have a big crossover event. I want to see where this team goes, and maybe that's sour grapes from JLA, but I want to see where they're going to go with this, and that's something I can't say about Justice League United, even.
I dropped that.
I dropped Justice League United, so.
So, I mean, it's drawn me in enough, and I want to know why he's brought Captain Cold in. I want to know what's going to happen, and I haven't been able to say that for any Justice League book, even Dark.
I guess that could be an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean,
As far as what's Luther up to, kind of a thing, which could be interesting. But everything else it was meh for me. And the whole Shazam part was, what the heck
a
was
magic
that?
ping pong table. Woohoo!
That was dumb. Oh my god, I almost threw my book. When I read that. I was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, I got to that part and I was like, just get me to the last page because I know that's the payoff for the entire book for me. So.
Yeah. I'm not liking that aspect, actually, to be honest. I don't like that they're going to introduce the Doom Patrol as villains.
Well,
I don't know that they're doing that or not.
I mean, okay, so solicitations, there they are, there's Doom Patrol, woohoo! Anybody who knows me, that's a party right there. So, the solicitations imply that they're bad guys in some sense. But nothing in this issue implies that they're bad guys, other than they're going to take care of business.
I'm wondering if they're going to do like a Green Hornet, X-Men type thing where they're just misunderstood, kind of.
Well, but that's Doom Patrol. That's always been Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're going to come out of this. They should come out of this thing being that, you know, we can't quite take you in or whatever, but at the same time, you're not okay, kind of a thing. I mean, that's always how the Doom Patrol's been treated in some sense or another.
Totally ripping off X-Men.
Well, sure.
If anyone gets that, you're welcome.
Oh. Inside joke there is that actually X-Men are modeled after the original Doom Patrol, but you know that whatever. The whole misfit thing. Yeah, but you know, so you're right. I mean, I did find this issue somewhat curious. I'm bothered by Lex Luthor knowing that Bruce Wayne is Batman. How do you fix that from now on in the DC universe, short of, you know, Zatanna coming and mind wiping him, and we know how that works out. Yeah. He's gonna know he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman from this point forward. So he calls up Superman and goes, "We gotta talk about this." You know, I mean, as part of the conversation, what's Superman gonna do? Punch him in the head enough times that he forgets?
Yeah, I don't know. That was just the whole. I wasn't happy with the whole thing.
Or they use it for plot devices. Actually,
sure. It bothers me though. As soon as the villains know who the superheroes are, it bothers me because then it opens up a can of worms that any devious supervillain would screw a person so bad once they have their secret identity. I don't know.
But we don't know his motives yet.
He's Lex Luthor.
I think they're playing on that.
It will only last for so long.
Right.
It may last a year. But it's only going to last for so long, and Lex Luthor will go back to being Lex Luthor. And
what would you be more upset about if it's just something like five issues and then Zatanna wipes his mind, or if they go a year and a half using it as a plot device, then doing something.
I would prefer the latter.
I prefer it would happen right away. Because if they know they have the ability for Zantan to mind wipe him, why in the hell wouldn't Batman have that done instantaneously?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'd be on the phone right now, short of obviously Power Ring being a potentially ultimate threat for the universe if she's actually bringing this whatever nasty thing it is that screwed up Earth 3.
Oh, that you didn't? Did you read the last issue of Forever Evil?
Kind of. I'm really trying not to remember it. So.
It's the Anti-Monitor.
Yeah, I know.
I was supposed to say this thing.
I know. So it doesn't make sense to me that if Batman has any resource to eliminate this problem, that he would not use any resource to eliminate this problem right away. Now, they could write some really interesting stories based around Batman trying to deal with that, but I just don't know. Like I said, I always get anxious because I don't know. I can't remember very many times it comes out as a good story.
Maybe I messed up, but I want to see it play on Batman's paranoia, which it should. I mean, he's a control freak who hates having things out of his hands, and now another control freak that hates having things out of his hands has some control over it.
Yeah.
I want to see that play out. I think that's going to be great done with the right writer, which
Sure.
Jeff Johns is hit and miss, but if
Right.
he does it right, it'll be good.
Well, unfortunately I'm not going to give him the chance. I've ordered up through solicitations any of them that mention Doom Patrol in it, and I'm dropping it after that because Johns has been so flat on this book that I have no faith that it'll work itself out. I mean, the idea of it is cool. You're right. The idea of having a Justice League with Captain Cold on it and Luthor mixed in amongst them could be really fascinating. Or it could be a bunch of fluff until the next event. So.
And if Batman had a true solution, wouldn't he have had a briefcase in his basement with the Luthor symbol on it that you just open up?
I'm thinking it won't be very long before he does, in some sense. Let's talk Batman. Since we're talking Batman, let's talk Batman.
Okay.
Okay, so what next issue is the end of?
Yep.
This is the end of this incredible
Oh my God.
fan favorite arc of Scott Snyder.
840 part.
Okay, so I didn't mind this issue. I enjoyed it. I have to say the first page bothers the living daylights out of me.
Remind me.
The first page is Bruce dropping coins into a hobo Alfred and going, I need a butler. What the hell does this page have to do with anything else in the rest of the book? Nothing, because nothing else ties into it. We occasionally get this. This will look great, I'm sure, if I buy this massive $30 trade with 11 issues in it and read this. That may all look beautiful together, but in a monthly comic like this, it doesn't make sense. It does. I mean, I find that frustrating because it doesn't make any kind of sense.
I think we're both calling it right now that this story arc, this whole thing was made for trade. Let's be honest.
Sure.
I mean, it was meant to be read in a couple of sittings, if not one, and that's kind of been what's made it stale.
Yeah, I think editorial blew it up in places and kind of railroaded it at times and sent it places that originally Scott Snyder didn't plan on it going.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it, but I'm also going to be happy when it's over too.
Me too. I'm ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
And they need a cover artist.
That's awful.
That's the thing. When you look at the early run of this Batman run, it had some amazing covers, especially during Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Those were some of the coolest covers in comics. And lately, it's just like, just throw something at them. Just give them something. I mean,
and I don't mean to insult Capullo, but it really feels like most of these covers are kind of phoned in. It's like, let's just make it as simple as we can, the least amount of effort
Yeah.
to put it out there. And
Well, I think without the number on the side, some of the, it's indistinguishable for a while there in Zero Year, where it's just
the black cover and then the black cover with the yellow stripe and yeah.
So I mean, it's not that far-fetched to say they're phoned in.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that some of these other covers are great. I'm not saying like the Batman Eternal cover was a great cover or anything. Questionably, it might be too busy of a cover, but comparison to this, no. I mean, you can have, I think, a simple cover and it have some level of meaning. This quiet moment feels like something. This just feels Batman 66-ish.
It totally does.
To me. I mean, I'm not, not being mean. There you go, Batman 66. Except that's an Alred cover and it actually is more entertaining.
Ooh.
But I don't know. And I Batman Year Zero up until an issue or so ago, I've been on board with. I've liked it. People laughed and squawked about the whole trench coat thing that went on in one of the last parts, and I liked all that. I've been perfectly fine with it. I was excited for us to get to this point where we're in this kind of apocalyptic Gotham place. I was excited to see Batman zipping around on a motorcycle and being all tore up and whatever kind of crazy thing happened. I actually enjoyed watching him fight lions and
tigers and bears.
And and them lighting yet another animal on fire. That seems to be a Scott Snyder thing, is to light animals on fire. I like that part. Yeah, and then this lion here a couple issues ago. But yeah, it's just kind of like, yay, he found the Riddler. So he shows up and goes, caught you, it's all done.
Well,
why would you punch that man in the face at this point?
We both, recently read Hush to work on that project.
Right.
And what Hush did for the Riddler, I think that's what they were trying to do here, is kind of make him more of a, mastermind. It doesn't feel like that. It feels very more theatrical than it is mastermind. Like he's put all this effort into this show for everyone, where it's not him outsmarting people.
Right.
And kind of thinking
there was no mystery in this. There was no riddle. It's him and Fox staring at a piece of paper that we don't get to look at, and then him going, "Well, I'm going to guess here. Go."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Where what you could do with a Riddler Batman story is show Batman's detective side more than his brawn. Show how he's very intelligent, and it doesn't seem like they've done much of that. It's been more off camera.
I get to some degree, this is 0 Year, this is early Bruce Batman. He's not as wise and sharp as he would be a la Hush or whatever. I get that, but it's not showing him make mistakes necessarily either. I mean, other than he was in the tower where he shouldn't have been, but it doesn't really show him working through the errors. But he does kind of describe that in dialogue at one point where he's recording the thing for Alfred, saying, maybe this is about me making mistakes. But I mean, so it's addressed. That part of him being newer is addressed to some degree, but I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think it's done as well as it is. Maybe I'll have to go back and read the whole thing when it's all said and done. But I don't. That's gonna be a while from now. I'm not gonna be jumping right down to read it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a memorable run, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Makes me excited to know what's next, but also nervous at the same time. So,
well, so Snyder tweeted out, "Who do you want to see Batman go up against next?"
Right.
And he even said, "Even the Riddler again." I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding?"
Or the Joker or whatever. Right. I mean, he says the next storyline's already written, but he's curious as to what.
Yeah. Oh.
I put in my 2 cents for Crazy Quilt. So.
Dude, I want some D-list awful character. Just, I need it.
I want a good Killer Croc story, but.
Yeah.
So, what other DC books? I know you guys picked up some other DC books. You picked up some Lantern books, right?
Yeah. Red Lanterns.
Yeah, Red Lanterns.
I love that cover.
Yeah, I love it.
Talk about a cover that's visually stimulating versus.
Yeah, it's an awesome cover.
So how's Red Lantern?
So It's good. I love it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books.
I got it because it was while it doesn't say it, it is. I still consider it a tie-in to the Red Daughter of Krypton Supergirl stuff because she's still in it. Granted,
Mm.
Guy Gardner kicks
Not for
her
much
out
longer.
very, very politely, but he kicks her out basically.
Hmm.
And I'm interested in it. It's making me want to continue it after this because this was my original plan. I'm done at this, but I'm not sure yet. I liked it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad that worked then, because I think more people should be reading Red Lanterns.
Yeah.
I think what holds people back from reading it is the word lantern in it. If you want me to be blatantly honest.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not picking it up. I like Charles Soule. I'm basically buying everything else the man writes.
Yeah.
But that's why I haven't picked it up. I haven't picked it up because it's a Lantern book, and I just am not excited by Lantern.
And I think that's a disservice because it's not really done like a Lanterns book. It's done a bit differently, I would say. And that's coming from someone that read every Lantern book in the New 52 when it came out, and only reads one now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped all of them too.
yeah. Stupid Hal Jordan.
I'm really interested to see where this is going to go, though. Like,
Yeah.
After this issue, because yeah, it doesn't look good.
With what Atrocitus did, I'm just like, oh wow, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Does anyone else read All Star Western?
I read it in trade, and I'm sad that it's being canceled.
Is
But
that the
I'm,
last issue?
Is it
Don't
being
wonder
canceled?
why. Everyone I talk to reads it in trade but me. That's why it's getting canceled.
I don't even
Yeah,
read
I
it in
know.
trade.
That's
I don't even
exactly
read it in
why.
trade anymore. So,
Yeah.
and I was a big advocate of the book for a long time.
I don't
But
know,
I-
that
But
and the Sixth Gun.
they went places they shouldn't have gone with that book. And
Oh,
they
yeah. Well, it's funny because it was history repeating itself. Because if anyone remembers, back in the '80s, he went to the future
Yep.
for a bit there, and horrific book. It was terrible.
Yep.
But it seems like they're trying to get that back again, that feel again. But it's nowhere near where it was when it started out. That gritty book that they had at the very beginning
Mhm.
was different than anything else DC was doing, and it felt like editorial came in and said, you got to make this more palatable for a wider audience, which I think was a big mistake.
Yeah.
I would have been happy if they would have just moved it to Vertigo or something like that and kept it that gritty kind of mystery, him and Arkham kind of being a yin and yang, if you will. I thought that was amazing, and the fact that they haven't brought Arkham back as a character, it just bothers me, because he was kind of the book in a lot of ways versus... But,
Well, yeah, it was Hex doing the things that Hex does, and that being interpreted through Arkham. You're experiencing Hex through Arkham eyes, not through
Mhm.
Hex's eyes. It
Yeah.
kind of lost its voice as soon as they removed Arkham and Booster Gold shows up and he gets zapped into the future or whatever. As soon as they did that, the book lost its voice, in my opinion, because the voice really was Arkham kind of interpreting this man and how he's moving through the world, and what does that mean? That was the voice of the book, and they took that away, and made it what it is now. But this was the final issue, right?
No, 34 is the final issue.
34 is the final issue? Oh, okay. So you still got 2 more issues. Huh?
Yeah.
Still makes me sad. I feel bad now because, I love it in trade. I've got the first 3. I haven't gotten 4 yet, but I love it. I'm a big fan of Jonah Hex. Didn't like the movie, but
That movie stunk so
yeah,
bad.
dude, that was.
That
I like
movie
the
was
books.
terrible.
I like the previous Jonah Hex stuff, and I
Oh,
like
yeah.
that team that does it. And it just like I haven't gotten to the Booster Gold related part yet
Yeah.
for All Star Western, but
I do not think that the creative team is at fault for that book.
At all.
Where it's at now. That is has to be purely editorial, because they've got 70+ issues under their belt of the prior. That was excellent. There's probably not a single issue in there that was bad, and they did a great job with doing. They took on the challenge of putting him in one place, putting him in Gotham. They figured out a way to make that work. Having him be in Gotham, and then they got stupid with the gatefold Booster Gold cover. And,
yeah. With that creative team, they're doing another book. I want to say later in July, Star Spangled War Stories,
Yeah.
which is another. They're using a title from another old book that has been canceled like 40 years ago. But
Right.
Yeah.
I'm getting that because I love that team. I want to see if it's as gritty as what All Star Western was.
Yeah. Well, get ready for the first arc to be fairly gritty, and then editorial will come in and say, "We want more people reading this," because
Yeah.
they don't get that that's not what was turning people off. The fact that they started out at $3.99 right away was kind of what turned a lot of people off from it more than anything else. It wasn't
Yeah.
the provocative nature of the storytelling. I don't think anyone goes in and reading something about the Old West and goes, "Oh, I hope it's palatable and safe and all that." You think gritty, you think, you
Yeah.
know, and so.
I went in expecting the Lone Ranger, and I was horribly mortified to see him running around with a tomahawk and an axe.
We've referenced too many horrible movies already, so.
Any other DC books you want to talk about?
I have one more. I have Batman 66, number 12. And
How
it's
was
not,
it?
It's not amazing, but it is a very fun read. In this issue, there are the Batman and Robin are off doing something, and it's this lady, I don't remember her name, it's like Marsha or something, and they make Brady Bunch jokes, and I was just like, no. But, like, she's all over these diamonds, and she creates this drill, like this tunneler, that will like focus on like diamonds, and she set it to the largest diamond possible, and it's in the Batcave, and I was like, what? And she like tunnels into the Batcave and steals a giant diamond, and they leave, and then Batman and Robin come back, and they're like, oh no, the Bat Diamond is gone, and I'm like, no. And,
That's kind of the point, though.
yeah, and they're like, he's like, the Bat Diamond's gone. That's what's keeping the Bat nuclear reactor going. And I'm like, are you?
Oh no.
But,
Yeah, it's the camp. I mean, you gotta expect that.
yeah, no, I loved it. It's one of those books that I will just keep getting until it's done. It's that fun of a read.
Yeah,
I always enjoy it.
I hopped off of that, but I hopped on to the Green Hornet crossover.
Yeah, I have that too.
You know what? It's just, you're not supposed to take it seriously. It's a good palate cleanser between two books, if you will, if you're reading all at once. Yeah, I don't mind that one, but no one picked up Superman but me. Oh.
How is it? How is the new Superman?
Yeah, I want to hear about this.
I obviously have been saying how I feel about the art. I wouldn't say it was as bad as I thought it was going to be art-wise. I definitely think if he just maybe took a little more time, is the best way to put it, well, what he did and kind of worked on the shapes of things a little bit better, it would be... That sounds so rude. Oh, well. But as for the story, I'm not anti-Superman, but I've never been drawn into Superman the way a lot of other people are. And for me, it was like, okay, I might pick up an issue or two later than this, but other than that, it didn't draw me in immediately. I've always felt that what would make Superman good is kind of showing people, because you can't give Superman flaws for some reason, but you can give the people around him flaws and kind of have the reaction of Superman to those flaws. Maybe that would make a good story. And it felt like they were doing that a little bit with this, but really it's just him fighting a giant thing like he does all the time. And so, I don't know, it was okay. I wouldn't say go pick it up, but I wouldn't tell anyone not to pick it up.
Going to the art on that, when they first announced that Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr. are doing it, I was like, all right, I don't hate Jeff Johns. I've never read anything that was bad, luckily. But, when I was like, John Romita Jr., I was like, all right. And people are all getting excited and freaking out about it, and I saw the teaser, and I was like, that doesn't interest me at all. That art doesn't excite me. And people are like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, dude, it's not that great. But
it's not bad. It's just not meant for superheroes, I feel like.
Yeah.
If you want to be honest.
Yeah, they were like praising it to be the greatest art ever. I'm like, it's not though. So
I just don't like that everyone looks exactly the same. Send your letters to Oddfellows Thoughts.
There you go. I think with Romana Jr., what the biggest part of the big deal is the fact that he has been
A Marvel guy.
He has been a Marvel guy for
Yeah.
since I can remember reading comics, just about, and so for him to suddenly be a free agent and to be doing a premiere DC book is a big deal. It's a big deal from a historical perspective more so than it is this really a rock star book and is it really exciting kind of a thing.
Yeah.
To me, it falls under the same kind of thing as when 2 or 3 years ago when DC poached David Finch. It was such a big deal. He was this rock star artist for Marvel. He comes over to DC and it's like, yeah, whatever. It's kind of where I was with what he did. Romano Jr. definitely is an acquired taste. I liked him back in the day. I don't care for him as much now.
I liked him on World War Hulk.
And
That wasn't that long ago.
actually, you know what? I don't mind his Superman. What I've seen of his Superman, I'm okay with. Whatever. For me, my issue was going to be more of Jeff Johns telling me a flat story, and I haven't heard anything that's made it sound like it's not a flat story at this point. It's one issue, and so
Yeah.
for what it is, but.
Well, it was weird because right at the beginning they showed him eating fish, and that kind of... No, wait, wrong. Sorry.
Aquaman, yeah. One of the few good moments of the 52 with Johns, yeah.
Mhm.
But, yeah, so, yeah. I'm not a big Superman fan, so I knew it was pretty much not a no-go book for me.
But I feel like I don't want to give into that bias, but I cannot ever find something compelling enough to make me go, I am reading this Superman. It is on my pull. I tried that at the beginning with Action, with Morrison, because I liked the last stuff he did with Superman. I thought that was not just good for a Superman comic, but a good comic. His all-star Superman is amazing. I highly recommend anyone going and reading that. Could not get into it. I got that. I have that whole run sitting in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
Regret it.
Yeah. Any other DC books we want to talk about? Talk briefly. We talked off air about this. One of the news as far as stuff that come out of DC, them changing their contracts with colorists. Now colorists will get a percentage, some sort of a percentage off of the books more so than a flat rate that they were getting before. They'll actually get some royalties off of long-term sales of the books, and they'll also start getting cover credit, which of course the internet erupted. Yay, right? That good for DC because Marvel's been giving colorists credit for quite some time now. Cover credit. So does that matter? Does that matter that colorists are getting cover credit now?
I don't know. It's like praising someone for doing something they should have already been doing. Is kind of the thing.
Right.
Is the way I feel.
Right.
So, I mean, good, great, you're doing that, but you should have been doing it.
So, okay, so the question is, putting a colorist on the cover, does that make you buy a book?
No.
Knowing who the colorist is?
Nope.
For me, sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. I'll give a second look to anything that's got Dave Stewart's name on it. I give a second look to anything that's got Jody Valeri. There are a few colorists that, for whatever reason, they stand out. The work that they've done on books I really enjoy stand out. And so I hear they're on something or I see their name on something, I might be a little more inclined to pick it up to look to see what's going on in it. So I guess that's important from that perspective. I mean, I think that certainly everyone who works on the book should get credit for it. It's not just the writer. It's not just the artist. It does take all those people, including the editors, to make a book. But at the same time, I don't know that I want my cover covered in a bunch of people's names. And we joked about it off air, like the case of Batman Eternal. We've already got 6 or 7 names on it just to fit the 4 writers on it and the 1 artist, let alone anybody else, any other people who are constructing the story's names on it. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's great. I think the more important thing is that the colorists do matter on a book, and they're getting paid more for the work they should have been getting paid for all along. instead of just getting paid a flat rate. I mean, I don't know exactly what that contract looks like and whatnot. I know that Mike, you talked about the fact there was some question about the digital end of it as to how they were going to get paid.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I have coming in late to all the collecting, sometimes I don't understand, how a page gets drawn, written, that they're have to go back and redraw, rewrite because things have to change when the editor changes it, and we don't understand how much work goes into it, let alone, what does, is it just splash color? Does a computer do more work? Do they hand do it? I don't know, and sometimes don't appreciate how much each person does.
Yeah.
So I think by doing this, it hopefully makes me a smarter consumer.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, it can be the difference maker. I was saying it doesn't matter, but if you want me to be honest, a good colorist can make or break a book. It's
Without a
true.
doubt.
And so, I mean,
well, without a doubt. I mean, for me, an example of colorist is like, so there's Black Science, which I really like. I really like the artwork in it. I love the way it looks. It's very dynamic. It's very flashy. It's very visual, and I really enjoy it. The same artist, basically almost the exact same time, however that worked out, I don't know, also did the artwork for, what is it, Dead Body Road, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I never finished the series out because I just wasn't enjoying it. But different colorist, same artist, same pencilist, but different colorist, visually completely different books. I mean, completely different books visually. Because of and it was the color, and I don't know that it was the colorist's fault for it to be that way. I just don't think I like that guy's art as much when it's not colored in the fashion.
Yep.
I can't remember the artist's name now, and I the colorist's name now, and shame on me I'm talking about this, but not being able to name them. But they refer to their coloring as digital paint, I think is what they call it, or something like that. So obviously he's using some extra skill or format, or he's got his own little secret program there that visually puts something on the page in a different fashion, and I like it. I like it a lot, So it does make a difference. Those colorists do make a big difference. I guarantee you. I don't know very many people who dislike J.H. Williams' artwork. I mean, I don't know anybody who says, "Oh, J.H. Williams, he's whatever." But I guarantee you, his artwork would not be nearly as eye-popping if Dave Stewart was not the person doing the coloring on it.
Yeah.
He does an amazing job of coloring that stuff.
Yeah.
Even when J.H. Williams colors his own stuff and he knows what he wants to do, it doesn't always have the same pop as Dave Stewart's colors on the stuff. It does make a difference. So they should get paid. They should get paid for what they're doing. Even if it's easy work, they should get paid for what they're doing. I mean, it does make a difference whether they get recognized or not. But yeah.
And I think with all the names going on the cover, I think somebody can be smart enough to figure out how to make it look right, whether it's font, whether if it's style. I think that can be figured out to make it
well, yeah. I'm more joking about that than anything else. Because certainly, I don't like this kind of listing of a whole bunch of names, down the side. I much rather, as much as I used to complain about this red banner, I'd rather that red banner be there and them all be squashed somewhere in the red banner, and then this rest of my art not be jacked up.
Well, and people forget that not that long ago you had to have that banner on there because you didn't know. Nowadays, we just look on the internet who's on this book, But
Right.
For a while there, not terribly long ago, it was kind of a hassle to find out who was doing what, and so.
Well, you're opening the book up and trying to find the stupid, because it's not always in the same place, right? The credit page.
Mm-hmm.
You're thumbing through it. Sometimes it's at the back of the book, and you're spooking the back of the book trying to figure out who the hell it is that did whatever. Yeah, it's true.
Spoiling yourself.
Yeah. Jeez. Sorry, I got the internet, and I get my books later than everybody else, so it's pretty much done for me. But I'm just kidding. But yeah. So yeah, I mean that'll work itself out. I mean, it's just kind of funny on some of those books where there's that many creators and stuff. Let's just throw a few more names on and see what happens, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's great. I mean, I don't know that we should be celebrating too much. DC should have probably done it a long time ago. But hopefully that means that there's not going to be a drain of colorists leaving DC, or some of the decent colorists who work for other companies might be interested in working for DC now. So we'll get some, good colorists, because there have been plenty of pencilers who have written things saying, "Hey, look, we're going to lose all the good colorists that do, make my work look the best because they're going to go where they're going to make more money."
Yeah.
But any other DC news we want to talk about?
It's not really news, but we were talking about Batman earlier, the covers not being that great. After 33, Greg Capullo's off for an issue or two. I'm not sure how much. It's going to be Matteo Scalera. And this is the cover for 34.
Mm.
I like the way it looks, but I don't get Batman in singles. So, just thought.
Scalera.
I don't know. You should probably pick up Batman in singles. It might get canceled.
Oh, I know, right? My one contribution to make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's the only book that sells. If we're being honest, it's the only book that sells.
Well, all of their sales, ups or down, are based on Batman sales.
Yeah.
That's how they determine whether or not something's being successful or not. Is based on
Spider-Man's
Batman.
up there now too.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But they still currently are using Batman as the litmus test for positive or negative on sales.
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth. Why? I don't know. Whatever. Because Batman sells. Yeah. Nope. No fear there. But so, anything else we want to talk about?
For the Gotham TV show, I saw that the pilot director is fighting to try and get Mr. Freeze added as one of the villains. How do you guys feel about that? Is he looking hopefully down the road to getting the sci-fi aspect of it, the superhero power, or do you think
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
Well,
There's just a scene. Yeah.
right. So I don't know, because putting him in, I'm assuming that none of these people, because this is all them young, right?
Yeah,
This is everybody
Right.
young. So it's not like anybody's going to have power. It would be him as a young man, and depending on what kind of a history they want to give that character, because depending on pre-52, new 52, he has a different history as far as why he's the way he is and why he's made the choices he's made. He doesn't make those choices. He doesn't make significant choices until he's much older.
Mm-hmm.
And that character is not like he's part of the Gotham universe, really, is he? I mean, he's not like, Cobblepot and some of those people have established long-term history in Gotham as being one of Gotham's founding families and whatnot.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they couldn't work him in. I thought you were going to bring up the fact that Poison Ivy, they changed her name.
No,
What was with that?
What did they change it to?
I don't understand.
Her
God,
name
what was it? Pepper
her name is
Ivy?
Is it Ivy Pepper or
I
Pepper
think it's
Ivy?
Ivy Pepper.
It's
That's
so.
terrible. that is a horrendous name.
Why? Why would they do that?
I don't understand.
What's wrong with Pamela?
I can
I know,
already tell why they did that.
Pamela's-
I'll tell you right now why
Why?
they did that.
Tell
Because
me
they
why.
want some dummy that's just tuning in to be like, Ivy, that must be Poison Ivy then. They're doing it to the casual fan so they can put two and two together.
So why did they name her Pamela Ivy or something? And it's not like it's not like every shot doesn't have her bear hugging a plant somewhere. So
I know.
But
Yeah,
they think the average person is a dummy.
yeah,
That's
I guess.
simple as that.
I just don't see the.
Because if she's not talking like Uma Thurman
Wait,
and
so
God,
does
no.
that mean they're going to change Cobblepot's name to something else too? Call him.
No, what they're going to do, we're writing the show, they're going to have him be called Penguin. They're going to have him be like, because his backstory's
He's
well
just
known.
going to be nicknamed Penguin, huh?
Yeah.
His favorite movie is Mr. Poplars and his penguins.
There you go.
And then Jim Carrey will come in and play the Riddler again.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, they've already got a Riddler. They've already got a Riddler, the young Riddler. I don't know. I'm still excited for the show. I would love.
Batman.
Maybe Mr. CDC is right. Maybe that makes perfect sense as to why they renamed her that. Is because then that makes it easier for people to go, oh, she's Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Other than you think they could have given her a better sounding name than Pepper.
That's so
Yeah.
To add to your guys' previous videos, do you think we'll see a Thomas Elliot?
We should, but I doubt it. I don't know. It seems like the angle they're going though is almost so different. Like I'm more open-minded because of Smallville. Obviously, I think that helped a lot with a lot of these shows. That it opened a lot of people that watched that. It opened up.
Well, see, here's the difference though. Partially is this is a Fox product.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to a CW product. So I don't think you're going to get the. I mean, CW has a style. I don't care which show it is. It has a style, and I think the Fox show is not going to be as. It's going to be grittier. I think it's going to have a seedier side to it. That the I don't care what CW show it is, it does not have. It doesn't matter how gritty they try to make something. It's not. It has this kind of. It has this polished cuteness to it that just is part of that company, and that's fine that's what it is. So I don't know. It'll be curious to see. I think this is going to be a rougher show. I think it's going to have a darker element to it.
Has anything been released?
It can't be Gotham without it.
You don't think 4 episodes in, Gordon doesn't take Bruce to a circus where Killer Croc shows up?
I have no idea. That would be awesome, though. I don't know. I said for me, I'm kind of keeping an open mind about it. I'm still excited by the show. You know they're going to change a certain amount of stuff. They have to, obviously, because this isn't how the the world went. I never assumed that all these people were in the same age group or whatever. And I don't think they're 100% that way. Obviously, I think Bruce is younger than Enigma and Cobblepot, from what it looks like. Obviously, Selene looks to be potentially Bruce's age, maybe a little bit older. I don't know. Ivy originally struck me as being much younger. I can't 100% tell now with some of the stills I've seen. But I don't know. And then a lot of it depends on, are they going to just be writing their own stories, or are they going to cherry pick stuff out of the Batman universe? And then what Batman universe are they going to pull stuff from? Are you right? Are they going to put in Tommy Elliott? Are they going to go with Paul Dini's interpretation of Gotham and the families of Gotham? Because then you could throw Santana in there, and a bunch of other people in there and Kate Kane and a whole bunch of other. The universe is big, depending on who you want to.
What about a gangster named Jack? Is that being thrown out there at all?
They did say they hinted that in some episode I think almost every episode you'll question, is this the Joker?
Oh,
is this the Joker?
They're not doing
Each
that.
one.
Come on.
The one last thing I was wondering, though, because I'm just starting to get into Batman, is will they ever touch on Thomas Wayne Jr.?
Doubtful.
That's so obscure.
Yeah,
that's
fairly
so obscure.
New.
Except for the New 52, where where Snyder decided to play with it. That's so obscure that I don't.
I mean, they could do like their own thing with it, maybe, but it's not going to be Court of Owls type stuff. I don't think.
No, but I guess maybe it's always been the question. Is there a brother? So.
Yeah. Probably.
I don't think he'll get that depthy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's. I think that's getting into the small minutia of the Batman universe that I don't think that they're gonna. If they have to change the name of Poison Ivy's name so people will clue in that that's Poison Ivy, they are sure not gonna put something like that in there, because that would crack the normal person's skull wide open to go, wait a second, Batman has a brother? No. No, even big comic book fans, when this Court of Owls thing hit, went, wait a second, Batman has a brother? That I can't imagine.
Well, and some people were wondering if it was from Earth 3,
Right.
So it cracked comic book fans even.
Right. So that's way too out there, I think, to be in this show. That show is I think going to be much more simple than that. I think that's. Yeah, and they shouldn't flirt with the Joker either, but who knows?
That's just what I've heard, is that so that you never think he is there or isn't there. They're going to flirt with like each one. That is this criminal or is that one?
It's a moneymaker. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the dance between Batman and the Joker is a moneymaker. So
they're just gonna show a guy bomb on stage a bunch. So like, come on, that's what I want to see.
Hey, I got that reference.
Yeah. Oh, I get that reference all the time.
Well,
but,
and Bruce is a kid all the way through this. We're not going to get Batman. You know, I mean, that's people have to realize. This is Gotham, and this is about the town, and at most it's going to be about, Gordon and Bullock and that, and these other Denzians that live in Gotham. But I'm assuming it's about Gotham. I mean, so a lot of that stuff is irrelevant because, I would hope to shout they're not going to give us young Bruce Wayne, who's basically just had his parents executed, and he's already contemplating being the Dark Knight. I hope they're not going to do that because that really isn't how it worked, I don't think. But whatever.
When are they going to have him take his journey? Are they going to have that where he just leaves?
He's a teenager. I don't think that's going to be.
Maybe once once everybody gets it that it's about Gotham, about Gordon, not about Batman, because that's always been the problem with S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, is everybody's like waiting for a superhero, and it's like it's really about the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and that's why every time you see it in there, the everybody's talking about it. It's always superheroes. So
yeah. It'd be crazy, if this show lasts a while and he's like in his 20s, all of a sudden he's still sticking around.
I just don't see that happening. But okay,
Gordon knows kung fu. They'll show it. Gordon knows kung fu.
Yeah, right on.
Hopefully they don't go with that version, but that's my own bias. Anyway,
anything else we want to talk about DC wise, or anything wise for that matter? Because otherwise we're starting to run long in the tooth, and we're gonna call it a night. Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming on and joining me tonight. I appreciate having you all here. Come back, obviously, anytime. It occurs to me next weekend is, in America anyway, we blow stuff up on Friday. So if we have a show, I'll push it to Saturday. We'll see as the week goes along. Hopefully when I do other videos, I'll mention in there whether or not this is going to happen or not. And if you're interested in being on the show, hit me up on Twitter or send me a message on YouTube or whatever, and we'll see about getting you on. Otherwise, have a great night, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.